Hello and welcome to our UI series, and in this episode we're going to create a toggle input device. So much like how we have buttons and tick boxes and sliders, all the different input options we have available to us in our UI, in our UMG editor, we're going to create a toggle, and this allows us to click on it to toggle between one option or another option. And when we click on the other option, it's going to unselect the other one and make that one the current one. So this kind of functionality does not yet exist in UMG, so we're going to create our one from scratch, and we're going to show you the setup for that and basically how we can best use it for best practice. So let's get started. So we're going to start off first of all by creating our generic UI that we want to display with this. So I'm going to my user interface and create a widget blueprint, create user widget here, and we're going to call this one player HUD or player menu, whatever you want to call it. And in here we'll do something simple, and we'll make our toggle change some text. Okay, so in here I'm going to have a horizontal box. Oh, pardon me, I meant to put that inside a canvas panel, so let's wrap that with a canvas panel. And we'll just move this panel over here to the far right, like so. Okay, and I want some text to be in there, and also what's going to be in here is our custom toggle. So the toggle doesn't yet exist in here. Okay, if we go to inputs, you can see we don't really have anything to enable that. So let's create one. So to do that, we're going to go and create a brand new widget, and I'm going to call it toggle. And I'll go into here, and now we're going to create our toggle. This requires a horizontal box, and drag that in, and inside this horizontal box we're going to have a button and then another button next to each other, but these have to also have another button corresponding to them on top of them as well. So what we need to do is we're going to put in the two buttons first of all. So button 1, button 2, and we'll name these ones button A1 and the one button B1. Okay, and I'm going to change this to fill the available space. Okay, so set both of them and hit fill. Okay, let me just put an underscore in there so it's consistent. Okay, so in here we would have different images we want to use, or different text we want to show, or whatever it is we want to do. Okay, so you can design these manually, or what we can do instead is just put in an image in here and or text and make it an option for us later on. So let's do that. Let's put in an image into button A1 and put another image into button B1. These two images here, we're going to fill up the available space, so stretch it out fully, and we're going to get rid of all padding there too. So there we go, we've got two images going on here. On button A1 and button B1, what we're going to have is one's going to be enabled and one's going to be disabled. But the disabled one still needs to be clicked on. Okay, we still need to be able to click on the disabled one. However, we're making use of the disabled one to handle the styling of our buttons really easily. So let's create an overlaying button on top of these. So we're going to wrap button A1 with another button. We've got a button within a button. And this new button here, we're going to call button A2. And we're going to stretch its contents out so they fill up the available space. Again, get rid of the padding that we don't want. Okay, so we've got a button within a button. We're going to do the same again for button B1. So I'm going to wrap that with a button and call this one button B2. And this one is the its contents filled, no padding. Okay, so when we click on button A1, we want to turn off button B2 and switch between the two. Okay, so let's actually use an image here to help explain and show this in a lot better detail. So I'm going to go add a default image to my image 96 here. I'm going to change the name of that one to image A. And next one I'll show image B. Okay. Let's put in 2 images in here. So I think I've got something I can use maybe. Not. Give me a second and I'll put something in. Okay, we'll just pause and I'll go grab some images. Okay, so I brought in 2 icons here. We've got a sword icon and a bow and arrow. Let's chuck those into our widget. This one, and we're going to default brush this one to be r underscore. What was it? I don't know if I know what it's called. The RO1. There. This one is going to be RO2. RO4 is it? Yeah, 4. There we are. Okay, so we've got 2. We've still got some padding issues going on here, so let's try and clear those out. So these are probably down to the buttons having default padding and their style. And you'll see in here normal padding is set to 12, 0, and 1.5. We're just going to close that down to 0 here. And we'll do the same for button B1, 0, B2, 0, A2. 0. You're not going to see anything happen yet, but if you hit compile, it should clear that up for there. Okay. Right, so we want to enable and disable one. So let's enable button A to start off with, and button B is going to be disabled. We're going to go to button B1, and we're going to go down and say is enabled is false. Now when it is disabled, it actually is going to grey it out because our disabled foreground is got styling of greying out. So this will look like it's off. Okay, and to demonstrate that, we're going to put that into our player HUD here and add it to our screen. So let's go add our toggle to this the box, and just there, and let's just change the sizing of this. This is going to be because my toggle here is really large, so let's change that down to 128 by 128. 8. Probably put these inside scale boxes as well to improve, but this will do. Okay, so there is my box, and I'll just bring that into center there, make it a little bit nicer. Okay, so if I were to compile and add this to the screen at the start of the game, so we'll just go into my first person character, I'll just add it there, nothing fancy, begin play, we'll just add begin play, and we'll do create widget, choose our player HUD, and then I'm going to add it to viewport just so you can see it in action. Okay, and whilst we're here, let's actually also turn it on so we can actually enable it and stuff like that. So I need to get the player controller and put this into input mode to UI. So, and then I also want to show mouse cursor, just so we can test it whilst we're here. Show mouse cursor and set that to true. Okay, so there we are, and we're now going to go and push play. We should hopefully see it on the screen. As you can see, one is grayed out. Okay, we can still click on them. We're going to fix that so the padding doesn't really affect that. It looks a bit weird, but we'll do that. But you can see here, our disabled is grayed out. That's what's important. So our toggle, the idea being is that we hit the lit up one, and that'll make it grey out, and the greyed out one will become enabled. So let's go to our UI toggle again. Okay, so when I click on button A1, I want to say turn this one off and turn on button B. Now this is fine, that'll work as you expect, but we also want to make it so that if we click on button B1, it will turn on B1 and turn off A1. Now the problem with that is button B1 is disabled, so clicks on it don't work. This is why we've covered it with another button, button B2. So when button B2 is hit, we want to turn off A1 and turn on B. If button A1 is hit and it's enabled, and that means it's already enabled, so it doesn't really matter. We can make it disable and another one. Sounds more confusing than it actually is. So let's just put this into practice. So I'm going to go to my button A1 here, and we're going to create the on clicked event. And on here, we're going to do a simple button B1 get, and we're going to do enabled. Set is enabled, and that on to be true. And then we're going to go to button A1 and set is enabled and set that to false. Okay. Then we're going to do button actually sorry, this should be button A2. A2. Oh dear. There we go. A bit more organized like that. Okay, so button A2 means we're going to turn on B1 and turn off button A1. Okay. If we click on button B2, we're going to do basically the opposite. Sorry, not B2. This is meant to be B1, A1. Sorry, my bad. A1. Because A1 means, if we click on A1, means that A1's enabled. So we're going to turn that off and turn button B1 on. If we click on button B1, means that's enabled. And therefore we're going to turn that off and that on. Okay. But then we've got A2 and B2 to deal with. So it will be A2 will kick in when A1 has been turned off. Okay. That means we want to turn that one on. So button B1 will also be the click event for button A2. They will share the same event. So, and likewise, button B2 is going to share the same event as button A1. Yes. Okay, and it will toggle these two off and on. So let's test that out in our scene. And if I click on this one, you see it's turned on. On this one, it turns off. Click on this one again, it toggles that way. I can toggle between the two like so. So let's get rid of this weird padding issue that's going on here. That's pretty simple to fix. That is literally just the buttons pressed padding here. And I'm just going to click on all my buttons at the same time and change all of them at the same time. Okay, so now it should look a little bit cleaner. What a nice toggle. Now this toggle is kind of useless at the moment because it doesn't actually give us anything useful out of it. As in data, like other buttons or other things do like that. So what we're going to do is set up a series of things to help us use this in our everyday game design process. So I'm going to go to my graph here, and we're going to have a value to keep track of. Our value in variables is going to be is A selected. Okay, and that's going to say whether or not the A, which is the first one, is going to be enabled or not. So on this first set here, A1 is being disabled, so we're going to plug this in and leave it as disabled. Then the next one we're going to plug in and tick it to make it enabled. Okay, that's the first thing. Next, we want to make an event dispatcher. This is how we're going to communicate back to any widget that we have this attached to. So on event dispatcher, click plus, and we're going to say on toggle changed. And the toggle changed here is going to have a simple input of a boolean and do is A. Now if we compile that and then drag out event dispatcher and do a call, we can plug this in at the end of each line and plug in our is A each one. Now it may not look like much, but what we've done here is something really cool and really useful for our games. We can now go back to our player HUD here. And if I click on this and then scroll down, you'll see on toggle changed has now appeared as an event. And if I click on this button here, I've got now an event here telling us when is A is true. My toggle has now become a functional tool in my UI arsenal. So now what I can do is change my text accordingly. So we're going to go to my text block here, make it variable. And let's just drag that out and do set text. And we're going to do select text. Sorry, not select text, just select. And plug in is A is in that index. So when it's true, it's going to say sword. When it's false, it's going to say O. compile, save, and we're done. So now hit play, and I can click on this, and you can see it changed not only the image here, but also changed the word. And obviously, this could be anything. A common thing I've seen and used this for are things like difficulty mode, making it an easy mode or hard mode, okay, or making something hardcore or not hardcore. That's a really cool use for it. Also, many different player options and character options you may have in your game too. A nice simple toggle that you can reuse however you wish. Now, if you want the images to be customizable inside the other widget too, without having to go into different ones, you just make these editable instances. So these will be part of your pre-construct and will be 2 variables. So image A, and this could be a whole style thing if you want to as well. So image A could be a style, and you'll see in here we've got a, where is it? A style. It is maybe not brush. Maybe brush instead. Slate brush we'll use. There we go. And we're going to go to image A, get, and we're going to do set brush, and we're going to plug that into our image A there. And likewise, we're going to just duplicate that for image B, and just drag out image B, get set brush, and plug that in to image. Okay. Now, if I make these images here, these 2 slate brushes here, editable, I'll save, and now go back to my player HUD, I can click on my toggle and set my brushes for both image A and image B. There we go, RA1. There you are. I can change this to whatever I want. 64 by 64. And and then image B, R04. 64 by 64. So it works just like you're designing on the buttons from the editor over here. And you've got easy access to it over here, no problem. And I set these both to field available space. That. And this block I'll make right aligned. And this one I'll make left. And there we go. We've now got that set up, not just with customizable brushes, but also events that we can trigger very easily. So we go back into our game, play, and there we go. We got simple toggle that we can change. Now you see it's changing like this. It's literally because of the way I've set up the horizontal box. So the toggle works the same. And there we go. We have our toggle ready to be used in our projects. As you can see, it has a variety of different uses, and it's quite easy to use. And it will fit in nicely with the rest of your input palette of your UMG. If you like this video and want to see more UI widget based videos, please leave a comment below about what kind of stuff you'd like to see. Thank you so much to my patrons and YouTube members for the continued support in me and the channel. If you like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Bye.